up, everybody? Jay, Mr. Real Estate. I want to do a quick video. It's going to be quick, but I want to explain and kind of make my message more concise of what I'm saying as a human rights activist, right? So under YMC Community Coalition, we talk about advocating for new Africans, aka black people, African Americans, advocating for the end of our oppression and independence. But this is as a human rights activist. It's only a human rights issue. And the bottom line is that black people, the formerly enslaved and the descendants, which are us, new Africans, we are victims of the American government and their policies, their system, the enslavement, the oppression, 300 years of not owning businesses, land. It was illegal for us to be educated, to read or write. And we are victims of that. And we understand that it's old news, right? But it has not been reconciled is the issue. You can't sweep it under the rug when it's never been dealt with. Where facts show in human rights crimes, like with the Japanese Americans, they got 1.6 billion and their heirs. With the Native American, they got millions, land and sovereignty. With the German Jews, they got land, Israel, and 1.6 billion, and are still getting paid 150 million last year for the Jewish heirs of a 12-year Holocaust. But African Americans, or excuse me, new Africans, a big fat zero of restitution, repair aid, or reconciliation. We are victims of abuse. We are victims of American rape, and we got nothing to repair us. So every situation you see black people in today, new Africans, every situation you see us in today, from our poverty, family wealth, to single parent homes, our families are broken up for 400 years. When you see us, the violence in the black community, why were there 38 murders in Baltimore this last month? Because we as black people, one, have been pushed into low income areas through redlining by our government, where they put poor people in these concentrated areas and funded housing projects. So yes, there's more crime, and these crimes are crimes of proximity. We all live around each other, so crimes happen against the people you live around. So yes, it's black on black crime, but we dehumanize ourselves as black people because directly correlated to us being dehumanized for 400 plus years. Where our women were raped, our kids were molested, our men were castrated right in front of us, our men were dehumanized and demasculated. So all these things for 400 years plays into the psyche of the American person today, into our spiritual trauma, our financial trauma, our emotional trauma, our mental trauma. It's a direct correlation, our experience as victims of the American government and the people that they allow to participate in our oppression. That's why we are how we are today. We have to acknowledge that, and it needs to be reconciled. Reconciled through reparation, through reconciliation, and through restitution and repair aid. It has to happen, plus sovereignty. It's human rights law. So, under YMC, as a human rights activist, we hold the government accountable. A is government accountability. Stop skipping over A, the cause, to get to the effect. How black people are, how we speak, how we dress, single parent homes, black on black violence, black on black crime, black finances, wealth. That cool, we gotta get to that, that's two, right? You can't get to B, C, D, and E before you get to A. Let's talk about A first and address A first, which is the government accountability for its crimes, human rights crimes against new African people. The Africans and their ancestors, the new Africans, us, right? So that A has to be addressed. Then we get into B, C, D, and E. So B is black people, new Africans, being self-determined. So while we address this government accountability, and they owe, and they must reconcile these human rights violations, and we have to hold them accountable, we have our own responsibility to unify unify with each other around one common cause as a people, new Africans, rally around our red, black, and green flag given to us by Marcus Garvey, so that we can be considered a nation by the World Court and by the United Nations, so we can take our human rights case to the World Court. If we consider ourselves just black, a race, we cannot do that. We are legitimately not considered a people or a nation of people by the World Court, Human Rights Court, United Nations, or the Supreme Court. We are not a people. So in order to be considered a people, we must first acknowledge ourselves as a people, new Africans, hi, how are you? And then have one country in the world acknowledge us as new Africans. And then we can legitimately bring our case of human rights violations or human rights crimes against us to the World Court. Whether America addresses A, its responsibility or not, We can bring them to court, human rights court, if we acknowledge ourselves, unite ourselves around one nationhood, one cause. New Africans, the Republic of New Africa. That's A, right? That will end our political oppression, or start to end our political oppression. Then to end our economic exploitation, we must own more. We have to be more financially responsible, buy more land and more businesses. He who owns the most wins, period. Whether you own real estate, your first home, you're an investor, or you own a business. That's how we win economically. With the second component of stop pushing our money into every other community that's already ahead of us. New Africans have the least family wealth in America. In order to stimulate that family wealth, we must own businesses and land, and then support that $1 trillion we spend a year as New Africans. We have to support our own businesses and our own landlords and our own properties and all other kind of stuff. That's what we have to do. We have to stimulate our own economy to end our economic oppression until we get our reparation that's due to us as well. And then 3, our social degradation. We degrade ourselves socially and have been degraded socially. We've been degraded by outsiders and we degrade ourselves. In order to end that, we must uplift ourselves, elevate ourselves, and honor ourselves. So under YMC and as New Africans, when we address each other, is peace king or peace queen? If I call you king all day and you call me king all day, and I call you queen all day and you call her queen all day, we'll feel better as a people, and that's one small step towards building us up socially. But we must bring our nonprofits together to put these social programs, prison reentry, parenting, drug counseling, financial literacy, all these social programs we need to put into one place, have a directory, so that way we can start socially empowering ourselves. And we must address trap music. I love music. I rock out in the clubs. I play it in my car. But to my rappers, y'all killing us. You selling us out for your check. Keep the same beat, the same drums, the same melody. Different message, please. Hov, you did a message on Death to Auto-Tunes? How about Death to Trap Music, big homie? That's killing us as a people. That's facts. If you listen to that all day in your ears, our 13-year-old girls and boys, 10-year-olds, 16-year-olds, what do you think they're gonna get out of that? If they listen to the fact they're kings and queens and need to own more and be responsible, what do you think will happen with their actions? Music empowers people. We all know this. So we gotta take our own social degradation into our own hands, or excuse me, our own social elevation and honoring and admiration to our own hands. And if we solve our political oppression, our economic exploitation, and our social degradation on our own, that will empower us. But that's 2 to our 1, holding the government accountable for the human rights violations it committed against the African people and their heirs, the New Africans. That's fact. That's my message right there, concise. You got it? YMC.